The frost hadn't melted from her lashes when the sound of boot steps stirred the silence, a slow, measured tread across the hard dirt street. Willa Gray didn't move. Not at first. Her back pressed to the side of the horse trough, arms wrapped tight around her ribs, she stayed still, breath shallow. The townspeople had learned to ignore her. It was easier that way. Pretend she was part of the wood or the wind or the rot. This man didn't pass. He stood in her shadow, or she in his. A fire smoke scent drifted toward her, soft as a ghost. She opened one eye, squinted against the pale light, and saw leather boots dusted white with trail salt. She sat up fast, heart punching her ribs. "I got food," the man said, voice like stone rubbed smooth by water. She blinked at him, taking in the size of him, the breadth of his shoulders beneath a buffalo hide coat. His face was carved like old stone, sharp cheekbones, eyes too deep to read, long black braid pulled over one shoulder. Apache. Not from here. Not welcome. Willa shook her head once. "Ain't beggin'." He crouched, the way a hunter might before a wounded thing. His hand moved slow, out from his coat, palm up, holding a strip of dried meat and a twist of cornbread. Nothing else. No offer of warmth. No word of pity. "You're cold," he said. "Y'ain't he a preacher? I'm Taza. I ain't hungry." Her voice cracked on the lie. He placed the food on the trough ledge and stood. "I sleep north of the ridge. Cabins warm. Fires kept." He didn't look at her when he added, "Need a woman to share the bed." Her spine went stiff, then curved like a struck wire. She'd heard worse offers in alleys. But this man, he said it like someone discussing firewood. Like it wasn't about her, but a need as practical as boots or beans. You think I'm for sale? I think you're tired." She didn't respond. She just watched him walk away, long legs eating the road like he had all the time in the world and none for explanations. The food stayed untouched. Until night fell. The townsfolk passed her as always. Nancy Bell with her fox stole and pursed mouth. Pastor Klein with his false concern. He offered her one glance and a muttered, "Heathen blood's got her now." A boy threw an apple core that hit her chest and bounced to the dust. She didn't cry. By dusk, she was gone from the trough. She found him where he said he'd be, north of the ridge, cabin smoking against the sharp blue dark. Her fingers had stopped working by the time she knocked. Taza opened the door and didn't speak. He stepped aside, and she entered. It was warm. That was the first mercy. Not fancy, just a single room, wide hearth, bedrolls along the wall, a dented kettle steaming over a low fire. Bones hung above the mantel. Deer, bird, fox. Trophies or memory. She didn't ask. "You said you needed a woman." Her voice broke, softer than she meant it. He didn't answer. Just pointed to a stool and set a bowl of stew in her hands. She ate. Slow. Suspicious. But every bite tasted like something not just made for her, but earned. "I won't do nothin' for free," she muttered. "I won't touch you," he replied. Her eyes lifted. "Then why ask me to come?" He stirred the fire. "Cabin gets quiet." Willa breathed through the knot in her chest. No one said they missed her voice. No one missed her silence either. She sat near the fire long after the stew was gone, arms around her knees, hair still damp with frost. Taza sat on the floor opposite, mending a strap of hide. The only sound was thread through leather and the soft wheeze of wind against the doorframe. "You married?" she asked at last. "Was." She waited. "Died 3 winters back. With our son." The silence thickened. "I had a brother," she said. "A baby." He choked on a peach pit. Her lips pressed tight. "Mama stopped looking at me after that." Neither said more. He pointed to a mat beside the hearth, where extra pelts were folded. "You sleep there." She nodded, laid down, faced the fire. But sleep didn't come. All night, she watched the flames dance shadows across the wall, and listened to the sound of a man breathing steady beside her. Not near, not threatening. just present. By morning, snow had dusted the window ledge. She rose before him, found a kettle, poured water, scrubbed the bowl she'd used. She wasn't his woman, but she could clean up after herself. When he stepped outside, axe in hand, she followed. The first day passed in silence. Then another. On the third, she returned from the well with a wet skirt and bruised lip. A woman at the pump had hissed, "Savage whore." Willa hadn't replied. Taza saw. He said nothing. That night, he handed her a salve, placed it beside her spoon, and never looked her way again. Each day, he left at dawn. Traps. Firewood. Skins. Each day, she cooked what little she could and scrubbed the place from corner to corner until it looked less like a cave and more like somewhere a woman might belong. On the fifth day, she hung his shirt on the line, washed and stitched at the shoulder. He noticed. She saw it in the way his hand paused at the door, the way he almost nodded, and the way he didn't say a word. That night, a windstorm howled through the cracks. The roof moaned like it might cave. Willa shivered beneath the pelts. Her breath smoked in the cold. Then a creak. She turned. Taza stood over her, blanket in his arms. He laid it over her, slow, not touching skin, then moved back toward his own mat. "Taza," she whispered. He paused. "You said you needed a woman to share your bed." "I said I needed company." She sat up. "Well, I ain't company if I'm over here freezin', and you're warm by yourself." A long pause. Then, slowly, he walked to her side. Laid beside her. Didn't touch her. But when she reached for his hand, he didn't pull away. Her voice trembled. "You still don't want me?" His reply came soft, but sure. "You're not something to want or not want. You're breathin'. You're still here. That's all." She wept, quiet and hard, into the crook of her arm. He held her hand until her sobs faded into sleep. Come morning, the fire was out, but she was warm. He'd stayed all night. They never talked about it. 2 weeks passed. The townsfolk hissed louder. Nancy Bell spread tales about the girl in the redskin's bed. The preacher warned the church of moral decay. None of it mattered. Not after Willa watched Taza kneel in the snow to re-wrap the paw of a limping stray dog. Not after he taught her to snare rabbits without a sound. Not after he stopped flinching when she stood near the stove, humming broken lullabies to herself. One afternoon, while trading for flour, Willa passed Pastor Klein and his loyal clutch of gossiping wives. She held her chin high, wore Taza's coat over her dress. They stared, didn't speak. She didn't either. But when she returned to the cabin, her face was pale. "They don't want me," she said. Taza looked at her long, then said simply, "They don't get to want you." Her heart cracked open in the stillness. That night, they shared stew and silence. Again, his bedroll beside hers. Again, her hand found his. But this time, she didn't fall asleep. "Taza." He turned toward her. "I'm scared," she said. "I know." He didn't say more. He just stayed. The next morning, she left something at the trough, wrapped in cloth, still warm, a biscuit, soft and round. She stood there a while, looking down. A man might have seen her and said nothing. But Taza stood behind her, hands in his pockets. "You don't owe the street nothin'," he said. "I know," she replied. Then, "But maybe the next girl ain't ready to freeze yet." They turned together, walking back to the cabin. Some stories don't need thunder to be remembered. Some begin with frost, and a fire that never goes out again. Which city are you watching our video from? Please leave a comment. Please subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you.